Ready when you are, Your Worship.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment. It is Thursday, April the 20th, 2023, 6:45, and I call this meeting to order. I would remind the committee members of any disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. See that none are noted. This evening, we're dealing with minor variance application A-03/23 CHR Farms Limited. The purpose of the variance is to permit two dwellings on the subject lands, one permanent building to be used for the purposes of supplementary farm dwelling accommodations, and one primary residential dwelling. Subject lands are located at 15705 Heritage Line, south side, east of Mitchell Road. The effect of this variance will be to allow the permitted use of a supplementary farm dwelling in accordance to the supplementary farm dwelling policies of the Bayham official plan in the form of one permanent dwelling with maximum floor area of 103 square meters, 1,108.7 square feet, and a maximum capacity of 8 seasonal temporary workers, and to permit one primary dwelling to be developed in addition to the existing dwelling being converted to supplementary farm dwelling use, whereas new dwellings in the A1 zone are only permitted on vacant parcels. At this point, we will have the staff presentation. That's report DS-22/23 by Margaret Underhill, Secretary Treasurer, regarding Committee of Adjustment minor variance A-03/23 CHR Farms Limited 55705 Heritage Line. Good evening, Margaret.
Variance that we're hearing will show that the dwelling will have a maximum. Intended to have a maximum capacity. And also to permit one primary dwelling to be developed in addition to the existing dwelling that's being converted to something farm use. The owners intend to build a dwelling. No public comments have been. Is anyone here? We do have a signage. So the Committee of Adjustment, you must be satisfied for tests. Minor variance, the planner's memorandum is attached. We also have correspondence from LFRCA. We have no concern the dwelling is outside of there. So the recommendation for you, there are minor variance to allow for the one and to allow for. This has to be followed up by a no.
Well, thank you for that. Is anyone here to represent the applicant? For CHR Farms?
I'm the agent in regards to this, yes.
Would you like to speak to it? Maybe to be fair, I should let you know this is your opportunity to speak if you wanted to.
No, CHR Farms is just seeking to turn the current house, which is a smaller house, into a supplementary farm dwelling, and then at some point build a permanent residence on the property.
Okay, thank you for clarification. Any public submissions? Anyone wishing to speak to this application? Seeing none, let's move on to committee questions and discussion. Committee members, any questions? Any discussion? Okay, Mark, I don't see in the recommendation, it's the occupancy, limit. April through to November. Just want to make sure it's out there and understood.
That is an understanding and it is an.
Yep. Good. All right, if there are no other questions or discussion, let's move on to the decision of the committee. The recommendation reads that Committee of Adjustment Secretary Treasurer's Report DS-22/23 regarding the CHR Farms Limited minor variance be received. And that the Committee of Adjustment considered all written and oral submissions received on this application, the effect of which helped the committee to make an informed decision. And whereas the committee agrees that the proposed variance as presented meets section 45(1)(1) of the Planning Act and is considered minor. Therefore, application A-0323 by CHR Farms Limited pursuant to section 45 of the Planning Act for a minor variance is granted to allow relief from Municipality of Banff zoning bylaw number Z-456/2003. Section 5.2, permitted uses. Permit a maximum of one supplementary farm dwelling in the form of an existing dwelling at 55705 Heritage Line with a maximum floor area of 144 square meters or 1,550 square feet to accommodate a maximum of 8 seasonal farm laborers and to permit one primary dwelling to be developed in addition to the existing dwelling being converted to a supplementary farm dwelling use. Whereas new dwellings in the A1 zone are only permitted on vacant parcels. Condition: a development agreement for the supplementary farm dwelling to be executed within 6 months of the minor variance approval. We need a mover and seconder for that. Committee member Rose and committee member Chilcott. All in favor? That's carried. The adjournment motion that the Committee of Adjustment hearing for consideration of minor variance application A-03/23 be adjourned at 6:53 p.m. And that in accordance with the regulations of the Planning Act, notices of decision be circulated by the Secretary Treasurer accordingly. Mover and seconder, please. Committee member Emerson and committee member Froese, all in favor? That is carried. We are adjourned.
Go ahead.
Good evening. Welcome to the regular session of council. It is Thursday, April the 20th, 2023, 7 p.m. and I will call this meeting in order. That's for disclosures of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 12.2B. And why? Oh, it's my son and I. That's our application.
Item 3, review of items not listed on the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, there are no items tonight.
Announcements this evening. All's quiet. All right. We do not have any presentations, but we have a delegation this evening. I'm happy to welcome the delegates from the Stratford Community Committee regarding Watermelon Fest. Yeah. Rose, just please, or whoever's speaking, just speak into the mic so it's picked up and live stream.
You know, I don't really need the mic, right? But anyway, thank
Well,
you. My name is Rose Gardner. I've been on Watermelon Fest for many, many years. We're here just to ensure that everyone understands the cost and the responsibility of Watermelon Fest. And with the renovations, we very feared that we were going to pay out all kinds of money in front of you and not be able to have our fest. Now, I did get an email from Thomas this week, and I understand that now they're looking at renovations in September, which makes us very, very happy because because of COVID, nobody wants to give our money back, right? They all want a deposit and they're willing to hold it to have another festival, but they don't want to give it back. So for us, it was very important that everyone understands the cost involved from our community. We don't want to lose it because then where we stand for next year. And we also want everyone to know what it costs. So that way when we go ask them for, so far, when we ask them for money, they don't go, what do you need that for? It's here. There's plastic right there. So that's it. We, like I said, we got the email from Thomas. We just wanted to come anyway. We said we would say our piece.
well, thank you for that. Perhaps take the opportunity to do a little free advertising, tell them where it is or when it is.
August 26th.
There you go.
August 26th of this year.
Thank you. I assume nobody has any questions for the delegation. Okay. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment to thank the Watermelon Fest Committee for their hard work. And I actually really like this outline. And the reason I do is because I think a lot of people don't realize what it takes to put on the festival. So I congratulate you for that. Thank you very much.
That's what Martin said, we weren't gonna come. And that's, she informed us, she said, you know what? Not everybody knows how much it costs to put this event on. This will make it a public thing. Again, so when we ask for money, they're not wondering what we're doing with it. And everything's gone up so much.
Yes. And through you, Mr. Mayor, one more comment, if I may, just to congratulate you, because I know everyone is really looking forward to the festival this year, looking forward to getting back and hanging out together. And thank you. Thank you. I'm good.
Councillor Chilcott.
I just had one question. Are you still looking for volunteers to help?
Always. And we have lots, but we always need more students, adults. Watermelon Fest can't be run without the adults. Right, we can't watch all the students, it's only 6 of us. Yep, any help we can.
Thank you. Any further questions? Sorry. You have to talk to them privately. Okay. Thank you, Rose.
Sorry, thank you for your time.
Okay, the motion reads that the delegation from the Stratford Community Committee regarding Watermelon Fest be received for information. Mover and seconder. Councillor Emerson and Councillor Chilcott will second. All in favor? That's carried. Moving on to section 7, the minutes. We have the regular council meeting held April the 6th, 2023, and the statutory planning meeting held April the 6th, 2023. I assume everyone has had opportunity to peruse the minutes. Are there any errors or omissions? Counselor Chilcott?
Yes, thank you. Just one slight one, where it says that the students or the youngsters came out and they, you know, agree to the, written forms that have included, these things.
Anything else? The regular minutes of regular council meeting held April the 6th, 2023, as amended, be approved, as amended, excuse me. And that the statutory planning meeting held April the 6th, 2023, be approved as presented. Need a mover and seconder. Councillor Pros will move, Councillor Chilcott will second. All in favor? That is carried. Brings us to section 9, the open forum. I understand this evening we have two members of the public who wish to speak to item 12.2C. So to come up, just you've got 2 minutes each. Just give your name and when you're ready.
Good evening, Rick and members of the council. My name is Trevor Benjamin. I'm the agent on behalf. Reiterate, the CGDL is opposed to the recommendation to refuse the official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment for 10729 Plank Road. After reading through the reports prepared by both the municipality of Bayham and the IBI, there were some very positive highlights within both of the reports. One of them, the IBI, I'll just quote here, the location of the lands in a pocket of rural residential and employment uses along the main transportation corridor on lands already designated as resource use may be appropriate. CGDL believes the use is small scale. It would be held to be small scale by the zoning that would be placed. There would be a limited number of employees, and if the business were to continue to grow, it would be forced to move elsewhere. It would be adequate. It would be appropriately serviced through rural services, as was also highlighted in some of the reports. It would be subject to site plan control, which allows the municipality to, if there additional buffering is required, to implement. It would also provide municipality an economic opportunity and bring employment to municipality of Bayham. The traffic report indicated there were no concerns. CDDL, as you can tell from the recommendation, there has also been a draft official plan amendment that has been prepared for council approval if they choose to do so, which we are asking that they approve. The site is underutilized. It's a state residential. It's not changing from a public to non-resource use. So if you could please consider that as well. And there is an industrial use directly across the, which is larger in scale. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Thank
Sorry about that. Catch up with you, Megan. There. Sorry about that. We'll try it again next time. Okay,
Thanks.
Go ahead.
Mayor. I'm just here, I'd like to see, my business grow in Eden and in Bayham itself. Unable to find other land in Bayham. So I hope, you take this for consideration. Thank you.
okay, thank you, Mr. Thompson. Got rid of it. Moving on to section 10. Recreation, culture, tourism, and economic development. Wow. That's gonna be a quick one because we haven't got anything. Section 12, development services, sustainability and conservation. 12.1 correspondence, 12.11 to receive for information. Item A, notice of public meeting for a proposed minor variance A-03/23 CHR Farms Limited. Item B, notice of public meeting regarding proposed official plan amendment OPA-01/23 Lankhausen. I'm looking for Councilor Emerson there to see if I got that right. Lankhausen. Thank you. Farms Limited. Item C, notice of public meeting regarding proposed zoning bylaw amendment ZBA-04/23 Rideout and the Valley. D, notice of public meeting regarding proposed zoning bylaw amendment ZBA-05/23 Hebert. Does anyone have any questions regarding this correspondence? And the motion would read that items 12.11A through D be reviewed for information. In a mover, Councilor Chilcott will move. Deputy Mayor Weiser will second. All in favor? That's carried. 12.2 reports to council. We have report DS-2123 by Thomas Thayer, CO Clerk, and Steve Adams, Manager of Public Works Drainage Superintendent regarding the first quarter report. Thomas and Steve, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this report identifies activities within the Building Services Department and the Drainage Department for Q1 of this year. The summary provided to council demonstrates that when compared to the last two first quarters for 2021 and 2022, building activity has dropped off. This is consistent with some of the information provided in my Q4 2022 report that demonstrated that due to changes in the construction industry with respect to interest rate hikes, we are now seeing that spread throughout the industry, and we are being impacted by that. However, in Q1, we did issue 2 permits for houses, which means that upon issuance, we are now formally collecting development charges in accordance with our bylaw, which will necessitate a additional report on behalf of the treasurer to come in February of 2024 for the 2023 calendar year. I would also note that even though council did implement the development charges bylaw to be a 100% phase-in effective October of 2022, due to Bill 23 limitations, since we are in the first year of our development charges bylaw, we can only implement an 80% phase-in. So this will impact development charge revenue the municipality receives. There is further information on Bill 23 impacts forthcoming. We are waiting on a memo from IBI before we put together a comprehensive report. With respect to drainage, Mr. Adams is online. The report denotes 2 new drains that are undergoing engineer review at this time, and drain maintenance for 9 drains in Q1. I will pass it over to Mr. Adams to speak on the drainage.
Thank you for that, Thomas. Mr. Adams, have you got anything to add?
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. Good evening. Just a brief, as you know, the Hampton drain, it's ongoing. Waiting on construction of the berm. When that is completed, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll probably go back to preliminary drawings. They'll have to be amended slightly for the size of pipe. So I just wanted to kind of let you guys know on that one. We're still waiting for some paperwork for the Peters drain to be delivered to our engineer so we can come up with a report. And then we have a couple of minor drainage issues with the Pollock drain and Wilson drain that's still undergoing investigation. Those will be pretty minor. Those probably are going to be assessed for now through the roads because it's cross culvert issues at the moment. And then we have 6 other drains that are actually just to because they kind of came up was Norfolk. Norfolk wanted to extend into Bayham with their maintenance program. They're going to take care of the bulk of this maintenance with their contractor. So letters have been sent out now to all landowners affected with kind of a overview quote and a timeline. We're just waiting for a couple letters back from the ministry, and then that maintenance is hopefully going to be on its way. And it's a pretty significant amount of brushing and ditch work for those following drains. If there's any questions, here to help.
Thank you, Steve, for that report. And Thomas, does anyone have any questions? Deputy Mayor Weiser.
Yes, thank you through you, Mr. Mayor, to Steve. I noticed on all of those, it mentions that letters have been mailed out. Is that taking into account any inflation and supply chain disruptions? Will that impact any of those estimates sent to the landowners at this time?
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor, to Deputy Weisler. So the first three under the maintenance part, those are those I guess you can call are kind of, those are done a little bit differently. Those are homeowners calling in with an issue. So those kind of get dealt with as it happens. Now the rest of them are planned because we do have to go through the ministry and Long Point. So those letters, the quotes were actually tendered. This was a tender done by Norfolk County. So that tender was issued actually back in January, February. So they're pretty close now. If there's issues as they're brushing and cleaning these ditches out, as stated on the letters, there could be a change in price, hoping that it'd be pretty minor without any other notification. So we're not expecting the estimates that were delivered to the homeowners will be pretty close.
Additional questions? Okay, seeing none. Motion will read that report DS-21/23 regarding the first quarter report be received for information. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Chilcott will move, and I think Councillor Rose will second. All in favor? That's carried. This one's okay. Rose one. 12.2B. Dan. Report DS-23/23 by Margaret Underhill, Planning Coordinator, Deputy Clerk, regarding rezoning application ZBA 0123 Probes N&D 8375 Plank Road. Meeting Mark.
So the report before you is consider a rezoning application to change the zoning on property 8375 Plank Road. The applicant is looking to rezone the property from a rural commercial zone to a site-specific rural residential. Permit residential the minimum rear yard setback of 5.5 meters, whereas 50. And to permit minimum side yard setback of accessory building of 2 meters, whereas 3. That is to recognize that there's a residential use ongoing at the moment. Already has an existing dwelling and the existing accessory buildings. Recognizing the existence. Public meeting was held during the public. Go and review the planner and staff support this rezoning. It meets the policies. Changing it to a site-specific RR-45 and the ongoing for use and recommendation.
Thank you for the report. Anyone have any questions? Fairly straightforward. Okay, the motion to read the report DS-23/23 regarding the Froze rezoning application to ZBA 0123 be received for information. And that pursuant to Planning Act regulations, Bill 73 Smart Growth for Our Communities Act 2015, it be pointed out that at the public participation meeting held April the 6th, 2023, associated with this application, There were no written submissions and no oral presentations received regarding this matter, and that all considerations were taken into account in council's decision passing this resolution. And that zoning bylaw number Z 456/2003 as amended be further amended by changing the zoning on a property located in concession South Gore Part Lot 15. Our plan 11R1659 Part 1, known municipally as 8375 Plank Road from rural commercial to site-specific rural residential, RR 45 zone. Recognize the ongoing residential use of the land and to recognize a rear yard setback minimum of 5.4 meters and a minimum accessory building setback of 1.9 meters for the existing building. And that zoning bylaw number Z 755/2023 be presented to council for enactment. Mover and seconder, Councillor Chilcott will move. Councillor Emerson will second. All in favor? I assume Councillor Emerson, you had your hand up. Yeah, okay, thank you. You had to look quick. Both ways around the horseshoe. That's carried. Thank you. We gotta wait. Also wants to skip down a minute. So who does? Yes, who does? We do have a public meeting coming up at 7:30, so let's skip down on the agenda to section 13, finance and administration, 13.1 correspondence, and 13.11 to receive for information. Item A, Elgin County regarding County Council highlights, March 28th, 2023. Item B, Elgin County regarding the 2022 library performance. Item C, Elgin County regarding County Council highlights, April 11th, 2023. D, Elgin County regarding economic development, April newsletter. E, Long Point Region Conservation Authority regarding 2022 annual report. Item F, Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing regarding the Helping Home Buyers Protecting Tenants Act. Item G, Town of Plimpton, Wyoming regarding Bill 5, Stopping Harassment and Abuse by Local Leaders Act. H, Town of Plimpton, Wyoming reducing municipal insurance costs. And item I, Town of Plimpton, Wyoming regarding municipalities retaining surplus proceeds from tax sales. Does anyone wish to draw attention to or support or have questions regarding any of the items of correspondence? Council Froze.
That tax sale one, I think we should support that one.
Item I.
Yes, sir.
think we did it last.
I thought we did. Check the minutes, please.
Oh, we did already. Okay, sorry.
Pretty certain. Yes. We did.
Can we do it twice to just?
Just because it's from another jurisdiction. Good idea. Deputy Mayor Weiser.
Yes, thank you for you, Mr. Mayor. I just would like to draw attention to item D, just a comment on that one, the Economic Development April newsletter. Just encourage anyone, if you can check it out on your agenda package, or you can also see it on the Elgin County website. This newsletter is really neat, actually. It has a lot of initiatives for business enhancements and grant programs for our business community. So there was also some really fascinating women in agricultural videos that you can watch. So I just congratulate Elgin County on a job well done on that. So that's item D.
Thank you for that. Any other piece of correspondence anyone wants to address? Councillor Chilcott.
Unless we've already done it, can we support the insurance costs?
That would be item H. I'm not sure if we've done that before.
Hopefully, yeah.
Did you have a comment regarding that, Deputy Mayor?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I would support that motion and also just mention that I know that that's something that the Roma board has been working on pretty diligently. And so I think we're going to be seeing some correspondence coming out on that too, with some initiatives that we can take for alternate insurance. So that'll be exciting. That'll be coming out shortly too. So, but I'm happy to support it.
All right, looking forward to that. Anything else? Want to Smith something or take what I give you?
I will submit something.
Okay. Trying to use that true.
Motion would be that items 13.11A through I be received for information, the council of the corporation of the municipality of Bayham. Support item 13.11H.
Mover and seconder for that. Councillor Chilcott will move. Did I see Deputy Mayor Weiser second? All in favor? Thank you for that. That's carried. These are going to take a little bit of time.
The recess for 4 minutes. 3 minutes.
We will recess for 3 minutes. We have a public meeting coming up at 7:30.
Okay, we're unmuted.
Ready?
Yep.
All right, welcome back. We are now moving to a statutory planning meeting. Thursday, April the 20th, 2023, 7:30 PM. We will call this planning meeting to order. I will ask for disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Unnoted. First planning meeting deals with the proposed official plan amendment, OPA 0123. Looking to Mr. Emerson again.
Okay.
Lunkhausen Farms Limited, 55106 Vienna line. The purpose of the official plan amendment is to add a new site-specific subsection to the permit or to permit the severance of an existing dwelling made surplus through farm consolidation that does not conform to policy section 2.1.7C. Subject lands are located at 55106 Vienna line, north side, west of Center Street, and the village of Vienna. The effect of this official plan amendment will be to permit the severance of a surplus farm dwelling from a farm parcel where the owner does not own another dwelling of the Vienna. Owner owns dwellings in the. At this time, we'll call for public participation. Does anyone wish to speak? Well, if so, please come forward, sign at the podium. You're on.
I'm on, it's a little better than upstairs we go.
Yes.
I'm the agent for the Pleasant Farms, and I actually do know how to spell. I've done quite a few, stuff for the proposal is different. Detail and interpretation report. Which policy statement, how efficient. Efficient. All. Well, how the county is the plan. The application plan is a reflection of the one provision that. Products and that is. They change. Depending where you are. Farm that they just purchased. They have rented. Very much. Yeah. policy to be amended. We've done this before. It's possible. To satisfy. Probably amend this. During this. Mind. In fact, it's the red one, the idea was started by chief requirements across the board. Council. Let's look at the model here. It was just a general. Not make a number of. Question.
And for that, does anyone else from the public wish to participate on this file? All right, I note that there is no correspondence with this file. No other business. Let's move on with the adjournment. That the official plan amendment be considered at a future meeting of council, and that pursuant to the Planning Act requirements, the public meeting for official plan amendment application OPA 0123 be now complete at 7:37 p.m. Mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Weiser and Councillor Chilcott will second. All in favor? That's carried. Moving on with application B, I will call this meeting to order at 7:38 p.m. Ask for any disclosures of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. Seeing none, noted. We are dealing with the proposed zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 0423 right out in La Valley 55326 Maple Grove line. Purpose of this bylaw amendment is to rezone the subject lands from rural residential RR zone to a site-specific rural residential RRXX zone to permit maximum accessory building floor area of 130 square meters, 1,399.3 square feet, whereas 95 square meters or 1,022.6 square feet is the permitted maximum in the RR zone in zoning bylaw Z 456/2003. The subject lands are located at 55326 Maple Grove line, Eden. The effect of this bylaw will be to permit the development of an oversized accessory building, a garage/shop, on the subject lands for personal storage accessory to the residential use. At this point, I will call for anyone who wishes to make a public participation on this. Okay. If you wish to speak, this would be the time. It's up to you. You don't have to. Then sign in at the sheet there. Okay, and just for the benefit of the council, just please state your name and.
So I'm Byron. So the house that we have our garage. That is. Get into it, so the shop and garage. Right now. Really. Building itself, the structure is very similar to what the house looks like right now. So I don't understand that, so or anything.
From the road, it's too big to see two garage doors. Every. Just.
Thank you for that. Anyone else wish to participate on this file? Seeing none. I understand there's no correspondence with this file. And no other business. Brings us to the adjournment that the zoning bylaw amendment be considered at a future meeting of council. And that pursuant to the Planning Act requirements, the public meeting for the application of zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 0423 is now complete at 7:41 p.m. Favor? Oh, I guess I need a mover and seconder. That'd be a good idea. Councilor Everson will do that. And then Councilor Prose, I thought would do the seconding. Now, everyone in favor? Good. Carried. Brings us to the next public meeting, which I will now call to order at 7:41 p.m. I will ask any disclosures of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. Dealing with a proposed zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 0523 Hebert at 56282 and 56284 Heritage Line. Purpose of this bylaw amendment is rezone the subject lands from a village residential R1 zone to two site-specific village residential R1 XX zoning to permit minimum lot area of 348.66 square meters, 2,752.9 square feet, whereas 400 square meters or 4,305.6 square feet is the permitted minimum, and minimum lot frontage of 8.4 meters, 27.6 feet, whereas 10 meters or 32.8 feet is the permitted minimum for the retained easterly lands, and to permit minimum lot frontage of 11.4 meters, 38.4 feet, whereas 13 meters, 42.7 feet is the permitted minimum for a corner lot for the severed westerly lands in zoning bylaw Z 456/2003. The lands are located at 56282 and 56284 Heritage Line, Stratfordville. The effect of this bylaw will be to fulfill several conditions of consent E89-22 to rezone the retained and severed lands by splitting a parcel comprising of a semi-detached dwelling building, resulting in reduced frontage and lot area. This time I will call for public participation.
And organization, for the properties located across the road. Nearly represented. Replacing. Service by private. Parcel. Do the servants. Water law. The reduction. 34 meters. It's also part of the seventh application. Easement for. Your service. conservative. Yeah, which is sort of normal. Right, situation, then it's a special appointment. And you, that's all. Of an official plan, and an official plan. You just. That's conformance with, pending document. Provides additional housing. Or- Infill replacement building. Within those stuff. Well.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to participate on this file? All right. I note that there is no correspondence with this file and no other business. Which brings us to the adjournment. That the zoning bylaw amendment be considered at a future meeting of council and that pursuant to the Planning Act requirements, the public meeting for this application of zoning bylaw amendment ZB 8-54/23 is now complete at 7:47 PM. Mover and second, please. Councillor Chilcott will move, Deputy Mayor Weiser will second, all in favor. That's carried. Okay, that returns us to the regular agenda. I believe we left off at section 12(2)C. Which is report DS 24/23 by Margaret Underhill, Planning Coordinator, Deputy Clerk, regarding official plan amendment OPA 0223, OPA number 31, zoning amendment ZBA 0223, Blaine and Kelsey Thompson at 10729 Plank Road.
For you is for. Bylaw amendment. Designate. All of the amendments. Bylaws. Go industrial M2. The amendments will be. Applications, the accompanying justification letter and relevant reports were considered by municipal staff, all been attached to for your consideration. Planner's memorandum dated and details and rationale for the recommendation. Municipal planner does not recommend approval of the proposed official plan amendment, associated zoning bylaw amendment. However, the planner does state in the memo, location of the lands of pocket rural residential along the main transportation corridor on lands already designated for non-utility. The draft OPA has been prepared and is attached to the report. Should council opt to approve, decision is yours. There is a proposed official plan amendment that was attached. Just to note, there was a recommendation that was circulated. There's an amended OPA 31 that was circulated. Full staff here in South as public. There are some minor details that were added in. So that we Paul Riley on the line. is also here to speak. And to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mark. There. There. Paul, do you wish to speak to your report at this point?
Yes, your worship. Good evening. I just wanted to point out that I actually wasn't able to hear much coming out of the microphone there from Marg's presentation, but I believe the intent of this interlude is to say that the OPA was revised today to change the wording slightly in the purpose of the amendment for the new subsection 3.1.9.4 to reflect the need for zoning bylaw amendment and site plan control, as well as to remove the size of the building, which will be included in the zoning bylaw amendment as a minimum size, maximum size for the building.
Okay. All right, does anyone have any questions for the staff report or for Mr. Riley? Councilor Probst.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So with those late changes this afternoon, is it still staff's recommendation not to recommend?
Any other questions? Yes, Councilor Emerson.
Just like to say I have the opposite opinion, and we should be welcoming young people that want to open businesses and
I think for a clarification point of view, if council adopted the recommendation from staff, that doesn't preclude the development of this parcel. It's just further steps that need to be taken, correct? All right. Councilor Froze.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What are those steps and how soon could they be addressed?
I'll speak.
Paul, did you hear the question from Councilor Froze?
I heard the question from Councillor Froze, but I didn't hear the comment from Councillor Emerson.
Oh, that's too
Can you
bad.
clarify I'm having trouble hearing.
it's through you, Mr. Mayor. It's just a comment that I take the opposite view and that we should be welcoming young businesses and accommodating them to get the extra property taxes and providing employment for them.
Which brought up the point that if you support the staff recommendation and refuse, it doesn't necessarily kill the application. Well, this application, there are other avenues to find to make this work. So the Councilor Froze was wondering, what are the alternatives if this recommendation from staff to reject? So what would they have to do?
I guess one thing that was lacking in the application was information on why there wasn't other lands available for the business in a settlement area.
So just a justification report?
I believe the policy is fairly clear that commercial industrial uses are intended for settlement areas. So that's the gist of my recommendation. I'm not sure what other avenues, perhaps a smaller scale of business and a home industry size.
please.
Decision is made. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so to clarify then for Councillor Pros, if this application is refused and to satisfy existing policy in Bayonne, the site would have to go to a commercial or to a residential, not residential, urban area where you have commercial industrial plans, right?
Your worship, the comment with Paul and through was that these
Yep.
are better suited area. There's the idea of the-
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Chilcott.
Thank you. This area though, doesn't it already have industry? Like, it's not like he's putting it into somebody's backyard. This already has businesses surrounding it on all sides. So I'm not sure why this is different than any other business there. And maybe connect me?
Through your worship, Paul,
Yeah.
there- So the planner did put that in his memorandum that there may be some consideration. of that. So the location. council feels that's appropriate. That's also.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Chilcott.
So based on the surrounding industrial area and the difference between this and just the residential area, I would suggest that we stop.
Taking into account because it has a utility corridor up behind it, so it's not contiguous to
Right.
an agricultural
Meets all
zone.
the tick boxes except its location. And but the location has the effect of close to it all around it. And maybe behind it.
Okay, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you for you, Mr. Mayor. Can you just confirm, Mark, there was no public comments on this one, was there? Okay. Supplementary?
Yes.
Yes, so through you, Mr. Mayor, just one comment that I am of the same opinion that I don't see this causing down the road any land use conflicts, so I would think it was reasonable to allow this gentleman to build. So I agree. And Mr.
Okay, any additional comments, questions?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If council's will is to approve the application, I do have an alternate resolution prepared. It would be that staff report DS 2423 regarding the official plan amendment application OPA 0223 and zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 0223 submitted by Blaine and Kelsey Thompson be received for information. And that pursuant to Planning Act regulation, Bill 73 Smart Growth for Our Communities Act 2015, it be pointed out that at the public participation meeting held April 6, 2023, associated with these applications, there were no public submissions and that all considerations were taken into account in council's decision passing this resolution, and that council considers the proposed amendment to be consistent with provincial policy statement 2020 and is in conformity to the Elgin County official plan and the municipality of Bayham official plan. And that bylaw number 2023-029 being an adopting bylaw for official plan amendment number 31 for the purpose to change the land use designation for 1.06 hectares or 2.6 acres of land from estate residential to industrial, Schedule A1 Municipality of Bayham land use, and addition of site-specific policy section 3.9.2.4 for mechanical services, business office, and warehouse use, subject to site-specific zoning bylaw amendment and site plan approval, and the official plan of the municipality of Bayham be presented for enactment. That official plan amendment number 31 as amended be adopted and forwarded to Elgin County for approval, and that the draft zoning bylaw be presented to council for consideration after such time as OPA number 31 receives County of Elgin approval and the details of OPA number 31 are finalized.
All right, thank you for that. It's a mouthful. Does anyone wish to move that? Counselor Emerson would like to move. Who would like the second? Counselor Chilcott. Let's call the question then. All in favor? Looks like that's carried. Thank you.
Just a quick comment, now that we have approval of this OPA, we will have to add the approval bylaw to the agenda tonight. We dealt with during the bylaw session.
Thank you for that. Moving on with section B, report DS 2523 by Margaret Underhill, planning coordinator, deputy clerk regarding special plan amendment. OPA 0323, OPA number 32, zoning amendment ZBA 0323. Ari and Christina Shep at 14077 Bayham Drive. Ari,
For before you. That were submitted for property identified. The amendments to change the land use designation by 15.8 hectare. Agriculture. And concurrent amendment bylaw. Back to the amendments, we use workshop business as a commercial / industrial. Operate the existing building on the subject. Meeting. See the applicant presentation by the application report and relevant reports considered by staff. Attached municipal planner's memorandum dated 11, details and rationale. Municipal planner does not recommend approval of these proposed official plan amendment. It is zoning bylaw amendment. Stating in the memo. Site specific subsections. Draft OPA has been prepared and is attached to this report for consideration. Should council choose to approve the OPA. Therefore, the recommendation that is included in the report is to use the OPA. Again, I'm here, or Paul Riley is here to ask questions.
thank you, Mark. Any questions? Go ahead. Counselor Gibson.
Once again, well respected contractors, they've done plenty of fine work for my customers in the agricultural business. It's the type of business we should be welcoming. If we can't welcome this under that zoning recommendation, we should find a way to accommodate these people, to let them more well to the municipality.
Thank you for that, Deputy Mayor Weiser.
Yes, thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. So my understanding of the application, just so that I just want to make sure I understand completely. This original application was for an agricultural barn, correct? An accessory building barn?
Please.
Thank you.
Building. No, by the landowner. Okay.
Supplementary. So now the building is being used for an industrial business. And I'm just wondering if there's a difference in, can the existing building support an industrial business as opposed to an agricultural barn, which was the original application?
There are different construction requirements depending on the building that you are. So the construction design of an agricultural barn is different from the design of an industrial. Or there could be some differences that required should this business stay in that building.
Further questions?
Mr. Mayor, in what way can we accommodate them then to meet whatever requirements that the municipality or the planner would like to see?
Valid question.
Question.
I'm not sure if when we pressed it, if it went off. That's why I wasn't sure. Okay.
What?
Supposed to be.
Paul, can you hear us at all? Trying to communicate.
I very faintly,
All right, Paul.
I missed most of that.
You didn't hear a question from Councillor Emerson then, did you?
I heard the question from Councillor Emerson, yes.
Okay.
I wasn't sure what was mentioned by Marg. I can't hear that microphone at all, really.
She was deferring to you.
So the question is, what can be done to help accommodate the applicant's business use? As far as my reading of the provincial policy statement, Elgin County official plan, and the Bay municipal official plan, I don't see any room within those policies to have a primary use as a commercial and industrial use on a rural road in a prime agricultural area. I guess one way that perhaps council and municipality could help businesses such as this is trying to have more lands available within settlement areas that could accommodate such uses. There was policies that were mentioned to the applicant in regards to additional justification as to why they can't locate within a settlement area, and there was actually no specific justification for that. Regardless, these types of uses are not meant to be in the agricultural area. If it was slightly smaller, then I could consider it a secondary use or as a home industry, or potentially on-farm diversified use. There was quite a bit of discrepancy, let's say, between the information we've received throughout this process from the applicants and the planners. And that's, I think, as much as I can say as far as helping to accommodate this this use.
All right, thank you for that, Paul. Mr. Rowe, I seen
Yeah.
you wish, are anxious to rebut that.
Have a similar situation in that. Was an agricultural farm. With an agricultural farm, it's converted to commercial industrial. Right, the condition put on the zoning was that they have to apply for a change of use permit, building department. So that requires the applicant to hire an engineer certified that the building either meets the entire building code for industrial building, or if they do the necessary renovation of that building prior to the use of that building. This, we did that.
And that was in an agricultural zone area.
Yeah, where you take an agricultural building.
Mhm.
Part of the building.
Right.
Code.
Right.
It would. What did you choose?
Okay. For either you or Paul or Marg, if this was a home occupation, would this be permitted in the agricultural zone?
As a home occupation, the way your official plan is worded, you do require, because of the size of the building, you do require an amendment to the zoning.
Absolutely. But what I'm getting at is if this was a single home occupation
Have to still be building.
You
code
do. for the building code, but I mean from a zoning perspective,
You.
because this has employees. This is a larger business. Thank you. Marg, please.
Steel.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So. Mayor, how much money I make determines if I get the zoning? No.
But if you are operating out of your garage, as a single operator, you can do that on most of the zoning that's out there. But if you're going to have a larger business, the intention of the Planning Act is to send you off to a commercial industrial zoned area to minimize land use conflict. That's all. Councilor Pros.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I too am a little bit not confused, but I would like some clarification between the last application and this one. What would the differences be?
One of the differences is that we're dealing with Thompson C where we have related uses in the area, not an agricultural. This is an agricultural farm, not a secondary agricultural, in our opinion, because the lands are rented out, the business operates out of the building. As a standalone business in and itself. There's agricultural uses all around in that area. It's this road, it's not on a major throughway, so there's a difference there too.
Yes, Councilor Pros.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So that could be actually a positive because there's no neighbors near the business, right? But sorry, drawing a blank right now.
I understand what you're going at.
Yeah,
It's just the policy does not support it in an agricultural zone. That's what it is.
Yeah, and for instance,
a farmer may want to place a livestock operation on a neighboring parcel, and if there's a use like this, then the farm would not be able to do that. So that's where, the protection of the agricultural resource, it's an example of that.
Councillor Frost.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So if we vote this down tonight, is there still some avenue that he can go through the proper channels and rezone this to become a business at the current location in Bayham?
Consideration tonight is for you. Decision has to be made whether you support it or not. Applications to use and how you use the OPA. The applicant has the opportunity to appeal that to the OLT. Decide to adopt it. Not PA's county values the approval, so we have this. Adopt it, but it still has to go to the county value for the people. They still have to consider the application.
Thank you. Anything further? Councillor Chilcott.
Just wanted to, excuse me, do we have land where all industrial that would fit this business? Because we don't want to set a precedent, have all farms doing businesses on their properties in the barn. We've got one.
Are limited on what industrial.
All right, thank you. Okay, council, what do you think? Councillor Chilcott.
Find this a tough one because I don't want to start moving up on our farmland and turn farms into industrial sites, but at the same time, is there any plans for us to designate more land as industrial? How do we go about doing that to decide that location for our residents?
Well, that would be something that would go through the next official plan review. Correct?
Your worship, that would be just coming up this year and
So another argument to throw out there before I let you get in there, Councillor Emerson, is do you do the planning and then build a business, or you build a business and then ask for forgiveness afterwards?
For fine reuses if they design that as a shed. Later on, they decide that that's where they want to run their business. I don't think there's anything malicious or underhanded by doing that. I don't know, and so then I think, well, okay, then I don't know the whole story or whatever, but I would just like to feel most people are not underhanded. So the great majority of people, otherwise we'd all be in jail or right, but I just like to have a little faith in humanity. So maybe plans change and locations change. It's a nice place. I don't know, maybe it really suits, right? And I don't see how that's really industrial. It's more like storage or where you park your stuff. I don't think electrical contractors are manufacturing, right? It's a parking lot, I think, and the storage thing. So can we just move forward because the county has the ultimate say anyway, and then put a condition on it that it has to meet the needs of whatever the building inspector says, like Mr. Rose stated earlier.
Like, and that's not a problem. That one, of course, I would insist on. We're at the planning stage. The whole purpose of that is to mitigate future land use conflicts. So as I think Mr. Riley put out there, we allow this business here. Say the farm across the way decides he wants to put in a cattle barn, but doesn't meet NDS. Yeah, that's
Isn't that close to Endeavor or maybe I'm mistaken where the location is.
come off number 3 Bam Drive and go south.
So there's already some industrial close by. What's it mean?
It's way to the west. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm just saying it's a complex thing to try to figure out.
Did you have that's closer to the rubber thing?
That's still to the west. Okay. Bam Drive's more to the east. Yeah. Deputy Mayor, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment. I do have concerns that originally requested and presented smaller agricultural barn was requested, and now we have a very large industrial business operating in there. And in addition to that, I'm also concerned for what is happening with employees and regulations that way. So I really struggle with this one because I think the applicants had an opportunity to notify the municipality prior to building the size of the barn that they did and using it for a use that wasn't what they originally applied for. So I would support staff direction on this to deny the application.
All right. Any other comments? Okay, Deputy Mayor, you're suggesting you're willing to move the motion as read or written.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, I will.
Right. Anyone want to second that? Councillor Chilcott does. This will be interesting. The motion reads, a staff report DS 2523 regarding the official plan amendment application OPA 0323 and zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 0323 submitted by Ari and Christina Shep be received for information. And that pursuant to Planning Act Regulations Bill 73 Smart Growth for Our Communities Act 2015, it be pointed out that at a public participation meeting held April the 6th, 2023 associated with these applications, there were no public submissions and that all considerations were taken into account in council's decision passing this resolution. And that council considers the proposed amendment to not be consistent with the provincial policy statement 2020, the Elgin County official plan, and the municipality of Bam official plan. And that bylaw 2023-030 being an adopting bylaw for official plan amendment number 32 for the purpose to change the land use designation on 2,700 square meters at 0.66 acres by adding a new policy in section 2.1.5.2 specific to the subject lands to permit an electrical service business as an on-farm diversified use in the official plan of the municipality of Bam be refused for the following reasons. 1. A proposed site-specific text subsection to be added to the official plan to permit a non-resource use in a prime agricultural area specific to the subject lands for a land use that is intended to be located in a settlement area that does not appear to be secondary in nature based on scale and does not appear to be on-farm diversified use in nature. Number 2, the proposed use appears to be larger in scale and nature than a home industry and/or secondary use. Number 3, the building appears to be larger than appropriate to be considered a secondary or accessory use. Number 4, a diversified rural economy should be promoted by protecting agricultural uses and directing non-related development to areas where it will minimize constraints on other uses. Number 5, the proposed commercial industrial use is not in conformity with the BAM official plan policies for non-resource uses. And that the requested zoning bylaw amendment does not conform to the existing official plan and is not consistent to the PPS 2020 and does not promote good land use planning. All in favor of that motion? All opposed? Well, I will have to fail it. So, declined. Now, who wants to do what? Have you got an alternative?
Mr. Mayor, the alternative motion would be to approve the recommendation or improve the OPA as presented attached to the report, and would read the staff report DS 2523 regarding the official plan amendment application OPA 0323, zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 0323 submitted by Ari and Christina Sheff be received for information that pursuant to Planning Act regulations, Bill 73, Smart Growth for Our Communities Act 2015, if you pointed out that the public participation meeting held April 6, 2023, associated with these applications, there were no public submissions, and that all considerations were taken into account in council's decision passing this resolution, and that council considers the proposal to be small scale in nature with the proposed use that is considered to be on-farm diversified use in nature, and that the amendment to be consistent with the official policy statement 2020 and is in conformity with the Elgin County official plan and municipality of BAM official plan. And that bylaw number 2023-030 being an adopting bylaw for an official plan amendment number 32, for the purpose to permit an oversized home occupation workshop as a non-resource based secondary use and on-farm diversified use for an electrical services business contained on a portion of the subject lands and operating out of an existing building. Gravel yards specific to the subject lands be presented for enactment. That adopted bylaw or adopted official plan amendment number 32 be forwarded to Elgin County for approval, and that draft zoning bylaw be presented to council for consideration after such time as OPA number 32 receives County of Elgin approval and the details of OPA number 32 are finalized.
All right, who wants to move that? Well, it would be Councillor Emerson and Councillor Rose. Before I call the question, what's the alternative from here? Non-decision. That's not acceptable, right? All right. All in favor of the alternate resolution? Opposed? We can't do this. Let's send it to the county. I'll support it. Send it to the county. Carried.
Mr. Mayor, same point as with Thompson, that now we do have an approval bylaw required for the OPA that will have to be added to the agenda.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Section 13.2. Report CAO 2623, Thomas Thayer, CAO clerk, regarding education development charges.
5 seconds.
We want.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this report is an information piece on education development charges. They're a revenue source for eligible school boards authorized under the Education Act by way of Regulation 20/98. The report is being presented because the Thames Valley District School Board has received a report on education development charges. They received it at their March 28th meeting, with the recommendation to initiate the process to consider the passage of education development charge bylaws across their full jurisdiction. It's like they proposed 4 bylaws, 1 for London, 1 for Middlesex, 1 for Oxford, and then 1 for St. Thomas and Elgin. This would include a background study and public consultation. Essentially, education development charges can be collected from residential development or a combination of residential and non-residential with some restrictions. They're used for land acquisition, cost to service land, or relating to the preparation and distribution of background studies. So really it's land acquisition and servicing when it comes to expanding their real property regarding capacity for either elementary schools or secondary schools. To be able to move forward, they have to meet one of the two criteria to implement. The one being that the estimated average number of elementary school pupils at the board over the 5 years immediately following the day the board intends to have the bylaw come into place will exceed capacity, so they have to expand. Second criteria would be the same, but for secondary school students. The board does expect to satisfy condition 1. So any further process will require a background study and discussing it with the drafter of the report, which has been attached to this report for council's information. They would be entering into public consultations as well with municipalities and stakeholders as part of the process. I would advise that on a high level, this appears to be something very similar to what we would have seen with upper tier development charges, where the likely areas that are going to have expansion or need to acquire land will likely be the more population dense centers, such as St. Thomas, Central Elgin, perhaps Elmer. So in a situation like this, you would have development charges levied against development in Bayham by the school board and then used to service another municipality. So this was a concern that was raised in 2021 when council was deliberating the merit of upper tier development charges. And this has been relayed to the Thames Valley Board as a just preliminary comment from early stage discussions of the matter. So with that, more information will be forthcoming as it becomes known. This report is presented for information purposes only, and I am available for questions.
All right, thank you for that report, Thomas. Does anyone have questions at this point? Looking for more to come. All right. Motion would read that report CAO 2623 regarding education development charges be received for information. I will move her in second. Councillor Emerson, Deputy Mayor Weiser, all in favor? That's carried. Brings us to section 14, the bylaws. Motion would read that bylaw number Z 755/2023, 2023-029 and 2023-030 be read first, second, and third time finally passed. Mover and seconder. You're looking for where those came from. Those are those two planning issues. The OPAs. Yes, you can ask.
Just to clarify, so do you have to go one by one? Just is the zoning one for the application that I did not support, is that in that?
You want to separate?
Yes, I'm just curious.
If you wish, that's the way to do it. Move to separate. Deal with them one at a time.
Thank you. So through you, Mr. Mayor, I would move to separate.
Okay. You need a seconder for that. All right, all in favor? Got that one? I'll take that one at a time. Here we go. That bylaw number Z 755/2023 be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. I need a mover and seconder for that. That would be Deputy Mayor Weiser and Councillor Chilcott will move. Second that. All in favor? That's carried. Next, that bylaw 2023-029 be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Okay, Councillor Emerson will move, Councillor Prose will second, all in favor. That's carried. And finally, but bylaw 2023-030 be moved a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Mover and seconder. That's shut. Okay, Counselor Emerson, Counselor Prose. All in favor? Opposed? I have a vote of support, just move it on. That was carried. Which brings us to the confirming bylaw. That confirming bylaw number 2023-031 be read first, second, and third time and finally passed. Mover and seconder. Councilor Prose, Councilor Emerson. All in favor? That is carried. And brings us to the Dan Prose adjournment motion. That council meeting be adjourned at 8:36 PM. I think you'll move that. And Councilor Chilcutt will second. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you for joining us this evening. Have a pleasant evening. And we will see you next time.